The 9th Cavalry Regiment includes several active-duty reconnaissance troops and squadrons of the United States Army. Historically, it was one of a few segregated African-American regiments. The unit served in combat during the Indian and Spanish-American Wars, during American expansionism and Manifest Destiny. The unit provided security to the early Western settlers and the early American borders against Indian bands, Mexican encroachment, and criminal elements. Presently, its role is to contribute long and short-range reconnaissance and sniper assets to the combat brigade and division level and to locate, gather intelligence, engage and kill the enemies of the United States. Formation. The regiment was constituted the 21st of July 1866 in the regular army as Company D, 9th Cavalry. On 3 August 1866, Major General Philip H. Sheridan, commanding the military division of the Gulf, was authorized to raise, among others, one regiment of colored cavalry to be designated the 9th Regiment of U.S. Cavalry. The regiment was organized on 21 September 1866 in New Orleans, Louisiana, and mustered between September 1866 and 31 March 1867. Its first commanding officer was Colonel Edward Hatch. The men enlisted for 5 years and received $13 per month plus room, board and clothing. Later, they were dubbed Buffalo Soldiers. The regiment's motto was, and remains, "We can, we will." The mustering, organized by Marge Francis Moore, 65th U.S. Colored Infantry, formed the nucleus of the enlisted strength, and was obtained from New Orleans and its vicinity. In the autumn of 1866 recruiting began in Kentucky, and all the men of the 9th were obtained from that state and Louisiana. The horses were obtained at St. Louis, Missouri. About the middle of September all recruits were assembled in New Orleans, where empty cotton presses were used as barracks. An epidemic of cholera caused the camp to be moved to Carrollton, a suburb of New Orleans. By the end of March 1867, the 9th Cavalry was at nearly full strength, with a total of 885 enlisted men, or an average of over 70 to a troop, and was ordered to San Antonio, Texas, where it arrived early in April for 3 months of training. However, troops L&M went directly to the duty station at Brownsville, Texas. Service. Indian Wars. In July 1867, the 9th Cavalry was ordered to western and southwestern Texas to maintain law and order between the Rio Grande and Concho rivers from Fort Clark to El Paso. Regimental headquarters and troops A, B, E and K, under Col. Hatch, were stationed at Fort Stockton. Troops C, D, F, G, H and I, under Lt. Colonel Wesley Merritt, were at Fort Davis. Troops L and M under 1st Lt. Hamilton had previously been sent to Brownsville. The 9th remained in Texas for 8 years, nearly all of it in the field. The regiment went to New Mexico Military District, which covered parts of New Mexico, Colorado and Texas, and participated in the Apache Wars from 1875 to 1881. The service included the Battle of Tularosa with Chiricahua Apache warriors led by Victorio. In May 1880, the 9th Cavalry was transferred to Fort Riley, Kansas, in 1881, and to Fort Robinson, Nebraska, in 1885. On November 5, 1887, Company H of the 9th Cavalry fought at the Battle of Crow Agency during the Crow War, at Crow Agency, Montana. Spanish-American War through WW1 in 1898. The 9th U.S. Cavalry Regiment fought alongside Theodore Roosevelt's Rough Riders at the battles of Kettle Hill and San Juan Hill. Later, they served as his honor guard during his visit to San Francisco in 1899 and again in 1904. The 9th Cavalry patrolled Yosemite National Park, joining other cavalry and infantry as the first Rangers of the park system. Under General John J. Pershing, the regiment fought in the punitive expedition against Pancho Villa in Mexico in 1916. The regiment spent World War I in the Philippines. From April 3, 1921 to October 11, 1922, Brigadier General Edward Anderson commanded the regiment. On 1 March 1933, the 9th Cavalry was assigned to the 3rd Cavalry Division, West Point. On 23 March 1907, the United States Military Academy Detachment of Cavalry was changed to a colored unit. This had been a long time coming. It had been proposed in 1897 at the Cavalry and Light Artillery School at Fort Riley, Kansas, that West Point cadets learned the riding skills from the black non-commissioned officers who were considered among the best. The 100-man detachment from the 9th Cavalry served to teach future officers at West Point riding instruction, mounted drill and cavalry tactics until 1947. Second World War. The 9th Cavalry was relieved 10 October 1940 from its assignment to the 3rd Cavalry Division and transferred to the 2nd Cavalry Division for deployment in the Second World War. However, the regiment did not serve in that war as a unit. It was transferred to the Mediterranean to supply soldiers for other units. It was therefore inactivated 7 March 1944 in North Africa. Vietnam War. The then experimental 1-9 Air Cav ushered in a new era of combat called air assault. These teams were composed of aero weapons, aero scout, and aero rifle. Together, ground and air reconnaissance teams patrolled the Vietnam countryside in search of the enemy. Once located, the infantry would insert via helicopter or foot to engage the enemy with support of their aero scouts and aero weapons. These teams earned the nickname of headhunters. This concept differed from conventional frontline warfare typical in prior land warfare. During the Vietnam War, the 1st of the 9th Cavalry earned 3 Presidential Unit citations and 5 Valorous Unit citations. It was inactivated on 26 February 1973 and was one of the last conventional units to leave Vietnam. In 1971, as the 1st Cavalry Division began redeployment to the United States, F Troop 9th Cavalry was formed from 1 platoon each from the 1/8th Cavalry, 2 5th Cavalry, 1 12th Cavalry and 1 7th Cavalry. This unit operated independently of the 1 9th Cavalry. On 1 February 1974, Troop C 9th Cavalry was reactivated as an armored cavalry troop assigned to the U.S. Army Reserve, assigned to the 157th Infantry Brigade. Initially activated in Bristol, PA on 31 January 1966, it was later moved to Wilkes-Barre, PA. The troop continued to serve with the 157th Infantry Brigade until deactivation on 20 August 1995. The 2D Squadron, 9th Cavalry, was assigned to the far end of the runways at Hunter Army Airfield under the command of LTCJ Longhofer as an air cav unit. In 1977, D Troop under the leadership of CPT Maldonado and Medal of Honor recipient Frank D. Miller attended the Jungle Operations Training Center program at FD. Sherman, Panama Canal with 1 medic from the HHT. In 1978 the HHT A Troop, B Troop were moved 40 miles away to FT Stewart where it was redesignated as an Air and Armored Cavalry. D Troop remained at HAAF during this time, while D Troop maintained the rotary wings aircraft and cavalry recon scouts. A Troop was given APC's armored personnel carriers and B Troop had many of the larger track vehicles. HHT had APCs for the medical section and S1 S3. The medics continued to maintain 2 Gamma Goats, but received 2 new APCs, one 577 command track and 113 ambulance. During this time, Marge Genvort was replaced by B.G. Marine as commander of FT Stewart, Georgia. Operation Juscos, Panama. The 2D Squadron, 9th Cavalry, assigned to the 7th Infantry, deployed to Panama in order to conduct combat operations during Operation Just Cause and the ensuing humanitarian and nation-building mission, Operation Promote Liberty. The air troops were the first to deploy with their R-1 Cobra attack helicopters and their O-59 aerial scout helicopters. Troop Air 2 9th Cavalry soon followed and conducted route clearance, zone reconnaissance, and provided support to U.S. Army units in the interior. The 2nd Squadron, 9th Cavalry, was stationed in Warner-Kaserne, Munich, Germany 1967–1968 and reforged to FD Riley, Kansas in 1968. Desert Peacekeepers and beyond. The 1st Battalion, 9th Cavalry, was reconstituted as infantry from the highly decorated Persian Gulf War Unit 341st Infantry of the 2nd Armored Division in 1992 and assigned to the 3D Brigade of the 1st Cavalry Division. It served in combat as 341st Infantry of the Tiger Brigade in Operation Desert Storm. 1–9 Cavalry was a rapidly deployable infantry unit of action which deployed abroad several times in the decade to thwart aggressive and hostile maneuvers of the Iraqi army, most notably in operations Intrinsic Action and Iris Gold. 9th Cavalry was designated as the Military Operations in Urban Terrain Unit of the 1st Cavalry Division. Following is a brief rendition of significant events during this time period. 1993, 3 soldiers killed on Lone Star North Range. NTC deployment. Intrinsic Action I deployment to SW Asia. Operation Iris Gold, 1994. Claim or mine accident severely injured a first lieutenant from Company A. Cambrian Patrol set range live fire record. 2 soldiers from Company E killed. 1995. 2 soldiers from HHC killed. Soldier injured by grenade blast at Tire House. 1996. Intrinsic Action 2 deployment to SW Asia, 21st century. Today, the squadrons and troops of the 9th United States Cavalry Regiment provide RSDA capabilities forward of enemy lines and supply infantry, sniper and long-range surveillance teams for use as special reconnaissance in the area of combat operations. These small army reconnaissance units, and others like it, provide valuable real-time intelligence about an enemy nation, including its leaders, combat capabilities, etc. Gathered intelligence information is fed into various intelligence agency assets and databases, including the National Target Base and numerous others. Units like the 9th Cavalry have the flexibility of direct engagement and destruction of enemy personnel and equipment. The 9th United States Cavalry units fought against both the armed conventional and unconventional enemies in the decade-long global war on terror. In both the Afghanistan and Iraq theaters, they developed and tested many new military doctrines and tactics when searching for, locating, observing and destroying the insurgent enemy and the war-fighting assets, just as they had during the Indian, Spanish, American and Vietnam Wars. The unit has received numerous Presidential Unit Citations and Valorous Unit Citations, as well as decorations for individual valor have been awarded to the 9th United States Cavalry Regiment and her combat soldiers. Troop B, 9th Cavalry, 3rd Brigade, 4th Infantry Division, was deployed from Fort Carson, Colorado, to Iraq in April 2003. After arriving at Camp Wolf, Kuwait, the unit moved to Camp New Jersey in northern Kuwait. The lead elements of the brigade reconnaissance troop then crossed into Iraq, covering a distance of over 300 kilometers. This combat operation was the first for the 4th Infantry Division since Vietnam. The BRT has operated in Samarra East Airfield, Samarra Outdoor, Tikrit East, Tuz-Kermit, Jalala, Mek, Dakik, Kirkuk, Tazakor, Martuz, Al-Huwayya, Ad-Dalu, Atamaya, Ad-Dujail, and Balad South. On the 23rd of October 2003, the soldiers of Troop B, 9th Cavalry were issued the combat patches for conducting combat operations in support of Operation Enduring Freedom and Operation Iraqi Freedom. The troop consisted of 2 platoons of scouts and 1 platoon of Colt. The unit deployed under the command of CPT William Sasha and redeployed under the command of CPT Clinton Fuller. The Bloody Knife Troop became the quick reaction force for one of the largest logistics bases in Iraq while still conducting operations wherever the brigade needed them. The Bloody Knife Troop was one of the last reconnaissance troops to fall directly under a brigade headquarters. 1st Squadron. The 1st Squadron, 9th Cavalry Regiment, is stationed at Fort Hood, Texas, as an armored reconnaissance squadron of the 4th Brigade Combat Team. 1st Cavalry Division, originally part of the 3rd BCT at Fort Hood, the 1st of the 9th moved to Fort Bliss to fill the RSDN needs of the newly created 4th BCT in October 2005. The unit is nicknamed the Headhunters. The unit was featured as the command of LTC Kilgore in the movie Apocalypse Now. The 1st Squadron, 9th Cavalry Regiment, began deployment to Iraq in September 2003 in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. Headquarters and AMP Headquarters Troop and Troop C, 9th Cav were assigned an Army National Guard infantry unit, a combat engineer unit, a support unit and a civil support unit to comprise Task Force 1 to 9. Companies A and B, 9th Cav were assigned to other task forces in Iraq, notably Task Force All-American. During the first deployment, 124 Purple Heart medals were awarded to Task Force 1 to 9 soldiers, who operated in one of the most dangerous sections of Iraq, including Sadr City and Haifa. In October 2006, the 1st Squadron, 9th Cavalry Regiment, began its second deployment to Iraq from Fort Bliss, Texas, in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom, along with the rest of 4th Brigade Combat Team, 1st Cavalry Division, to work alongside units of the 25th Infantry Division to comprise Task Force Lightning. The area of operations for 9 Cav during the 06-08 OIF rotation was Mosul, Iraq in the Nineveh province. After a 7-month duration of operations, 9 Cav conducted an intra-theater deployment from Mosul to Tal Afar, replacing 3/4 Cav for 8 months, to complete a 15-month rotation. In March 2008, 8th Squadron, 10th Cavalry of the 4th Infantry Division was reflagged as the 1st Squadron, 9th Cavalry. part of the 4th Brigade Combat Team, 1st Cavalry Division. In June 2008, 9th Cav deployed to OIF 081 to CSC Scania and assumed responsibilities for MSR Tampa and the cities of Hamza, Kashim, Hashimia, Ash-Shumali and other smaller towns from 3rd Squadron, 73rd Cavalry of the 1st Brigade Combat Team, 82nd Airborne Division. In August 2008, 9th Cav was given orders to build a forward operating base along the Iranian border in order to interdict lethal accelerants from being smuggled. The base is known as Fob Hunter and is in the Maysan province, which resides in the marshlands of Iraq. 2nd Squadron. The 2nd Squadron, 9th Cavalry, was stationed in Munich, Germany 1966 to 1968. It reforged to FD Riley, Kansas in 1968 and later created by expanding Troop B after their OIFI deployment. It was then stationed at Fort Carson, Colorado and was the Armored Reconnaissance Squadron for 3D Brigade, 4th Infantry Division. The squadron, nicknamed Hunters, deployed in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom IV, serving in two provinces. First in Salah ad-Din near Ad-Dor as an attachment to the 3rd Brigade, 101st Airborne Division, and then in Diyala with the rest of the 3rd Brigade, 4th Infantry Division, after handing over the base in Ad-Dor to the Iraqi Army. The 2nd Squadron was inactivated on the 18th of October 2007 and reflagged as the 4th Squadron, 10th Cavalry Regiment. 4th Squadron. The 4th Squadron, 9th Cavalry, Dark Horse, is stationed at Fort Hood, Texas and is the Armored Reconnaissance Squadron for the 2nd Brigade Combat Team, 1st Cavalry Division. During Operation Iraqi Freedom 06-08, the Dark Horse deployed with Blackjack to Baghdad, Iraq, where it secured the international zone, the area of central Baghdad that is home to the U.S. Embassy, Iraqi Council of Representatives, and numerous other Iraqi and coalition governmental officers. The squadron's responsibilities were later expanded to conduct counterinsurgency operations throughout the Kark district. In 2009, the squadron again deployed to Iraq, this time to Kirkuk province for OIF 0910, where it was responsible for the security, stability, and reconstruction of the Daqiq district and the Taza, Laylin, and Rashad sub-districts. The squadron partnered with the 15th Iraqi Army Brigade and Iraqi police from each of its districts to conduct area security and stability operations for an operating environment of over 3,000 square kilometers. The squadron also helped to balance ethnic tensions through the training and equipping Iraqi security forces, improvement of essential services, and the support and promotion of the legitimate government. In 2011, the squadron deployed a third time to Iraq in support of Operation New Dawn. In 2013, the squadron deployed to Afghanistan in support of Operation Enduring Freedom. 5th Squadron. The 5th Squadron, 9th Cavalry, was reconstituted at Schofield Barracks, Hawaii, with headquarters at Wheeler Army Airfield. Its motto is "We can, we will." The unit consisted of 1 ground troop and 2 air troops. Each air troop consisted of a scout platoon, flying the OH-58A plus Kiowa, and a gun platoon, flying the R-1 Cobra. The squadron also had 1 new H-1 Huey. 5th Battalion, 9th Cavalry Regiment reflagged to become 3rd Squadron, 4th Cavalry Regiment in 1996. 6th Squadron. The 6th Squadron, 9th Cavalry, is assigned to the 3rd Brigade Combat Team, 1st Cavalry Division, and is stationed at Fort Hood, Texas. 6th Squadron was built from Troop F, 3rd Brigade's Recon Troop for OIF 2. The unit is nicknamed the Sabre Squadron. Coincidentally, the unit replaced the 2nd Squadron in Diyala when it deployed in October 2006 in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom 06-08, from which the last of the unit's soldiers returned on the 18th of December 2007. 9th Cav was one of the last units to have left Iraq along with the 3rd Brigade 1st Cavalry Division on December 18, 2011. Current status: 1st Squadron is actively serving as a cab in the 2nd Brigade, 1st Cavalry Division stationed at Fort Hood, Texas. 4th Squadron is the Armored Reconnaissance Squadron of the 2nd Brigade, 1st Cavalry Division stationed at Fort Hood, Texas. 6th Squadron is the Armored Reconnaissance Squadron of the 3rd Brigade, 1st Cavalry Division stationed at Fort Hood, Texas. Notable members: John H. Alexander, 2nd African-American graduate of West Point. J. Franklin Bell, Chief of Staff of the Army. Sergeant Major of the Army William Connolly. Benjamin O. Davis, Sr., 1st African-American General Officer in the U.S. Army. John Denny. Robert Temple Emmett, Colonel of the Regiment and Medal of Honor recipient. Lt. Gen. Paul E. Funk, Commander of A Troop 1970. Commanded 3rd Armored Division in Desert Storm. Commanding General 3rd Corps and Fort Hood 1994-95. Henry Johnson. George Jordan. Gen. Robert M. Shoemaker. Captain John E. Swanson, B Troop 1-9 Air Cavalry 1971. The only OH-6A pilot recipient of the Medal of Honor. Thomas Shaw. Auguste Wally. Brent Woods. Charles Young, 3rd African-American graduate of West Point.